All 6 of those points for Green in this quarter on a pair of big threes. His first and only 2 makes from 3 in this game as he and Alperen Sengun.
What is up, CSGs? The Rockets just got a dub over the New York Knicks, 109-97. Knicks coming in as one of the hottest offenses in the NBA, but the Rockets defense was able to clamp down on this team. Some great defense from players all around. Just a great defensive game plan, great rotations by Coach Udoka. I would say this was probably the best rotations that he's used all season, putting guys in the correct lineups, just doing the right things. This was a great all-around game. Fixed a lot of the things from the last game. There is still a lot of concern about the offense. I don't think nothing really changed there. The main thing that changed is Alperen Sengun woke up out of his coma of inefficiency on the offensive side of the ball, which honestly, I'm not worried about that. Like, I think he said this in a post-game interview with Vanessa. Like I said this before, you don't worry about what guys do well. Like when you're assessing a player, if they struggle on something they're usually good at, you can probably bet more than likely they're going to be fine in that aspect of the game. What I like to see, especially from young players from year to year, is are they improving on the things that they are weak at? And for him, one of the things that I had said he needs to improve on this year was his rebounding. Obviously, this game, he ended up with, let's see, Sengun had 14 rebounds. He's averaging roughly about 12 rebounds a game, which is, I think, 3 more than last season, especially on the offensive glass. That's a leap in itself for him to be able to do. Another aspect of his game that he struggled with is pick and roll defense. I would say, just from my eye, I haven't looked at stats, but his pick and roll defense against especially some of the ball handlers we faced this year. You look at Jalen Brunson in this game. Obviously, LaMelo kind of got a little out of hand there, but that wasn't really in the pick and roll. We faced Luka. He's done a great job. Kyrie, like, that is, to me, really, really significant for him. Obviously, the conditioning is improving. I think Coach Udoka alluded to that, but great bounce back. Great to see him back because when he's scoring, it opens up a lot for the offense, especially in games like this. You guys remember the analogy I used about teams? The Rockets are a team that likes to run the ball, and Golden State is like the old school Texas Tech teams, and we're like Georgia Tech. Okay, the Knicks are like Army or Navy or one of those other teams that likes to run the ball. So tonight, what we got to watch was 2 run-heavy teams, 2 triple option teams go at it. And it was a slugfest, and we were able to hit the biggest shots in the end. Basically, we did some play action passes. They thought we were going to run the ball, deep ball to Calvin Johnson over the middle on the post route to score the touchdown to win the game. But just a great all-around game. I'm going to go through, because tonight I took notes. I just thought some of them were funny. I'm going to go through my notes, okay? So what I do when I watch the games, I write down little random stuff about each game so I can remember for the videos, and I'll just share those with you guys today. So quarter one, first thing to start. Notice they put Sengun on non-spacer and playing Dylan Brooks on the other big. Hopefully one day this could be Jabari. I put that because we've noticed this from previous games that Dylan is covering the other team center. The reason the coaches are doing this is to help take Sengun away from the action, or Steven Adams, whoever the center is. They don't want our center, because we play drop coverage. We don't want that person in the middle of the action. The Rockets are getting better at the off-ball switching that they're doing. They're scram switching. That is when the team, so let's say Dylan Brooks is guarding the center. Whoever is the ball handler is going to call for a screen. They're going to bring the ball over to Dylan Brooks, and then whoever's guarding the ball handler, usually it's one of our small guards. It could be Fred or Jalen. Then the center's man, because they'll switch it, is now on Fred. And what they'll do is once that happens, the center on our team, Alp, will then switch out real quick as they're trying to sort everything out to get back on the big man on defense. That is helping, and we're not getting burnt on it just a lot. And even if they still manage to get the mismatch they want, it takes so much time out of the shot clock. It forces them into a late shot action, which is usually not what you want as an offense. So it's forcing them to rush their offense. So this is very smart by Coach Udoka, making that adjustment. So there, and also if all else fails and the whoever the small guy is that got switched onto the big, is like trapped down in a post up, we just double them and live with the results of rotating out to their shooters. Sometimes that burned us. Most of the night, it was pretty good. It frustrated them, made them have to really, really play deep into the shot clock, which you love as a coach. Another thing I wrote down, early subs for JG and Sengun 5 minutes into the game. They usually play until 2 to 3 minutes in the first quarter. So Ime having some foresight, I promise you, he assessed himself. He did some self-assessment on himself as a coach, looking at his lineups, looking how long he's playing guys, how long guys are sitting. You notice in this game, nobody sat for a crazy amount of time. It was getting guys in and out. When they got tired, you take them out, bring the subs in. When the subs or even though they're doing good, you bring the starters back in. The reason you do that is because when you get close, I said this in the last game, we got to see it tonight, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. When the games get close, you need special players to make special plays. You cannot rely on hustle and all this stuff when the game slows down to a halt. All that hustling stuff is like make or miss. It's really just kind of, it's for the birds, man. You got to be able to get into what your bread and butter is. Tonight, we went to a little bit of an older reliable. I'm still not happy like all the way because I'm thinking about the playoffs and high level hoops. But I think in the regular season, they were able to get some things that they wanted. So we're still in the first quarter here. Tari Amen lineup with Fred, Dillon Brooks. And so Tari and the men lineup with Fred and Dillon Brooks kind of defeats the purpose of their ability to run. I didn't like that substitution with Tari and the men out there with Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet because Fred's natural inclination is to slow the pace of the game. And to me, once they got stops, they give it to Fred. He just walks up the ball. It defeats the purpose of having those guys out there. I rather them out there just to run. Adams is also in that lineup, which was questionable to me. I'll probably put Jabari out there. If you're going to go for like turnovers and rebounding, I get what he's trying to reduce to turnovers, but you got to let them play to their strengths. I love that they eventually added Jalen. I think Jalen belongs as the guard in that lineup because the purpose of that lineup is to get stops and run in transition. I don't want us to play, just 48 minutes of methodical basketball because it does limit some of the abilities of the other players that aren't super great in the half court. Into the second quarter, lineup of Reed, Sengun, Tari, Amen, and Jalen. I'm going to show y'all what I wrote on that lineup. Hopefully you can see it. I put 2 hearts. 2 hearts on that lineup because I love that lineup. That lineup is a +9 on the season. Tonight, that lineup, I'm going to tell you guys something crazy. That lineup, according to, what app is this? Pivot Fade. It's a new app I just got. Shout out to them. According to Pivot Fade, the best lineup of the night is Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Tari Eason, and Reed Shepherd. All right, this is the lineup I wrote down in the second quarter. I put 2 hearts by it. Guess what? This lineup in 3 minutes and 16 seconds of game time, which is significant, was just impressive. Just impressive. They were a +9 on the plus minus. They had a 214 offensive rating and an 85 defensive rating for a net rating of 128.6. So they were beating the Knicks by a lot during their time that they played, which is just stupid. Those numbers are just, that doesn't even make sense. That does not make sense. And I put right under that, Sengun post up with Reed Shepherd as the spacer. That's something you should look at. There was a play where Sengun got the ball on his ISO on the post on the left block, and Reed was the player adjacent to him in the slot as a spacer. Whoever the defender for the Knicks was in hell because he wanted to double, but he's remembering the scouting report. Like, that dude could shoot. So he was like, and it allowed Sengun to be able to get a bucket. Going forward, I want to see that lineup. I want to see Reed and Sengun play more off of each other because the pressure they put on the defense is very significant. So I put that down, and I put great Reed minutes. This was a game where Reed Shepherd actually played like you want him to play. He was aggressive. He did look for a shot. He took shots. And make or miss, you got to just make the defense think about you. He could try to get to the basket, got into his mid-range game, was orchestrating a little bit, got the ball on multiple attempts. I love that. And he was able to play significant minutes. He was really, he was a really good impact player, in my opinion, in this game. And this is what you want to see for Reed going forward because we need it. The Rockets need him at some point. He's going to be the difference between, probably 4 to 5 games of us winning. If he really turns into what we expect him to be, he's going to be a huge impact player for us in this game. So Reed had really good minutes, in this game. I really do like how aggressive he was. I really, really do, because I think the Rockets really severely need that from him. He had 7 points, played 14 minutes. Might have been the most minutes he played in this his season so far. Even though it was a -2, he was out there with Steven Adams, who was hit or miss for most of the game. Another note: Towns with 3 fouls with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. That really changed the game. This is the luxury of having an offensive big man. That we've seen this. We saw this against Dallas, especially teams that like to run pick and rolls, or teams that have big men as a pivotal part of their game plan. Having a center that goes at them, similar to what Embiid does and Giannis does and Jokic does, really does put those teams in a bind, because they have to go through their backups, and it really throws off the game. So I think putting other opposing bigs in foul trouble is huge for the Rockets. Also put Jalen downhill. This was in the first half. He was pressing the issue. And then Sengun on the short roll, his decision-making was much crisper on the short roll. He's trying to pick up how teams are guarding him, and I love how he played in that aspect of his game. Okay, still in the second quarter, I put Sengun through 2 picks. So he threw 2 interceptions. I love the idea of trying to get those passes down the court. I want him to keep trying them. Even though he threw had some turnovers, I'm okay with that. Process-oriented. This is a way for him to mitigate his inability to run with the horses. We see Kevin Love, a very unathletic NBA player, become really, really good at this. Pau Gasol was really good at this. I wanted to keep taking those attempts, because if he can get to it and the teammates have that connection with both of them, where they know I'm going to sprint my ass down the court and I know Sengun is going to be Pat Mahomes and throw me a touchdown pass, it does add an element to your transition offense, especially when he's out there. Last thing I wrote at the half: Fred CTE to close the quarter. Fred VanVleet, inexplicably, just at the end of quarters and halves, he just turns into Kevin Porter Jr. I don't understand it. Don't really get it. Don't know what goes through his mind. He started the game off very efficient, crashed out towards the end of the half, but kind of found his footing in the second half of the game. Also put, again, Reed aggressive. So loved how Reed played. And then the closing lineup of Amen, Tari, Jalen, and Fred. This was, to me, Ime's best move. Jalen struggled tonight. Jalen struggled, and he got benched in the fourth quarter. And I was saying to myself, you guys heard what I said last game. You got to give these guys the opportunity to play through adversity and learn how to fight back. Learn how to fight back. And it was like Ime Udoka listened to the pod, even though he didn't. But he put Jalen back in the game, and Jalen hit some big shots to close out the game. And to me, these type of moments, you're playing bad, you're turning the ball over, you're playing like you have a concussion, and you're able to rebound from that. What that teaches you is to respect the game and persevere, right? Because he was pressing a lot, and he has to know that it's not about whether you get shots in the game. At the end of the day is how you close out, right? If you're having a bad game, can you fight through your mental adversity, the physical, whatever is ailing you, you're tired, whatever it is, can you get to the end and be focused to be able to help your team win? He did that. And I put the last thing I put was Jalen redemption, because that three hit was much needed. I think it was like a 2-point game at that point. But just overall a great game. I think for Sengun to be able to close out in the way he did was really important for him, for his confidence. I think this was needed for him. If he can get back to his level of efficiency, I think that'll be something that will really help the team's offense, because we go through these offensive lows, and you saw that. If he wasn't playing good tonight, we would have been a devastating loss. But they were able to slow the game down, right? Once again, back to the running the ball. This was 2 running teams taking, trying to go head to head, linebacker, running back in the hole. And we were able to take our, 5 yards a pop. They were doing their 5 yards a pop. And once in a while, you get lucky and throw a deep bomb down the field and hit a 3 here and there. And that's what we're able to do. But I just love it. The agenda of that I have of the Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant relationship. Obviously, neither of these players have reached that level, but the two-man dynamic, that game, they got to learn each other. They got to learn. And the video you saw at the beginning of the pod kind of shows that. Like, these moments, even though if they play bad, I don't care. Get them on the court. Let them figure it out. Talk it out, man. That's how you learn to be great, right? In the midst of the battle, when the bullets are flying, when you're in the war, when you're in the trenches, this is where you learn to trust each other. This is where your team learns to trust you. It can't just be when things are going good that you let guys play, bro. Coach got to let them play. Let them figure it out. These are going to be your guys. I love the substitution patterns. Like I said, play the right guys when you need to play them. This does not absolve Ime Udoka from having a terrible offense. I mean, the Rockets shot, 21% or 23% from three in this game. At a point through the fourth quarter, he only made 5 threes. He can't help the guys with shooting. That's not his fault. But to me, like, there was a play where Steven Adams had a ISO post-up coming out of a timeout. I'm like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? So it doesn't absolve it. It could be just another pragmatic game where he saw the Knicks are a big team. They want to play big, so I'm going to leave Sengun in. Or maybe next game it's a team that goes small and he benches all the players I just gave him kudos for. I don't know. I still want to see more from him, but hopefully he is also a quick learner. I love how they responded collectively in this game. This was a great game for all the guys. Amen Thompson was clamping down on Jalen Brunson. I mean, there was a play where Brunson was trying to get a screen, and he was screened onto Tari Eason and called another screen. He went back to Amen Thompson, and he ended up trying to take a terrible fadeaway that was almost blocked, and he missed it. Dude was in hell, right? He was trying to do his fouls, his fake fouls. None of it was working because our boys was clamping it down. But just a great effort for the Rockets. I'd like to see this carry over. Still want to see some consistency in the offense. Still want to see some just creativity from the coaching staff. I'm glad players are playing better. I'm glad guys are starting to feel a little bit more. If Reed shows up as a player, if Sengun's efficiency comes back, because he's taken a leap on rebounding and defense this year. His defense this year, to me, has been really, for him, immaculate, right? Immaculate. Obviously, he still gets beat. And I think people hold him to such an impossible standard that, like, every play, you see him, like, bro, everybody gets beat. Like, Cat was getting beat. Rudy Gobert get beat. Nobody just says that because they have a reputation. Sengun is playing good defense. He's playing pretty good defense. He's going to get beat. He gave up a couple of plays where he just was standing flat-footed. But he's a big man. Like, that's going to happen. There's none of them are just going to stop every play. And I don't know why people use, like, 1 or 2 plays to try to – he's playing great defense. Like, if you want, from my expert opinion – dude is clamping down, especially in the pick and roll and garden screens and things like that. But if his offense catches up to the defense that he has, if Jalen just evens out, I'm telling y'all, I wrote on Twitter when Jalen was on fire, I want y'all to keep the same praise and energy when he goes through his slumps, because players go through slumps, right? Because it feels like some of you just wait for our players to have bad games, pile on them, and then when your guy has a good game, you're all happy. But I don't understand how you could hate watch your own team, bro. Like, people hate players on a team that's their hometown team. I don't get that. That is the weirdest thing to me. You cheer for players to do bad and cheer for other players when they do good when they're on your team. If a player plays bad on your team is likely going to lose. I don't get it, bro. Are you a fan of Houston Rockets, or are you a fan of just individual players? All the Rockets fans know we want all of these guys to play well, right? Jalen had an off game. He's had 2 off games. So what, right? I'm more focused on process. His process tonight was bad, but he figured it out towards the end of the game, and hopefully next game he's going to have a better processing, because in the NBA, it's a make or miss league, and if you do the right thing the right way, more than likely the right outcome is going to show up. It's not always the case, but just like in life, if you do the right things the right way, you're putting in the right effort, you have the right spirit about you, you're doing it for the right reasons, more than likely you're putting yourself in position to be successful. That's all I want to see from these guys, especially early on in the season. All the other stuff is going to catch up later, but that was my take on the game. Great win for the Rockets. Just hope they can carry over some of this confidence and this bravado they were playing with. But if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep rocking with the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping that fire.
DJ Candlestick. It's the Chop Not Slap Show.